One of the most common tasks that a web developer or web designer faces is creating a navigation bar. And when I first learned how to do this, I learned wrong. I made the different buttons as part of a navigation bar individual graphics and created rollover effects. That's actually not the best way to do it, although it's the way that many people are taught how to do it. What I recommend is using a combination of HTML and CSS to make a very effective and very attractive navigation bar. You can see here in the file navbar.html, I've actually created an unordered list with a bunch of list items that includes a number of links to my favorite sites. Forgot to close my unordered list. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how this looks in the browser. So I'm opening that in Firefox, and it looks like an unordered list of links. And I can click on any of them to go to the various sites. Here's the link to Udemy. And of course, the links work just fine. Go to the one for the University of Connecticut, and there we go. We're at the University of Connecticut's Husky Mania site. And then we've got CNET, This Week in Tech, etc. Now, these, of course, don't look like a nav bar. It looks like an unordered list of links. So we're going to use CSS to transform that unordered list into an actual nav bar. All right, so I'm going to use my style type equals text/CSS. And we'll close the style tag. We're just going to put the CSS here in the head. I'm also going to open up the Komodo tab here, and we'll take a look at the nav bar as we go. This way we can see our progress. So the first thing we're going to want to do is eliminate the bullets that are part of the list. So I'm going to use the UL selector for the unordered list, and I'm going to set list style type to none. And the bullets are gone. Now, I've got an awful lot of margin there, so let's see if we can set that margin to 0 pixels and the padding to 0 pixels. And that brings them back up against the left margin of the page. So we've kind of zeroed out what the unordered list does. And now we have the individual list items which we can style. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take care of the anchors within the unordered list. So I'm going to use a descendant selector, and I'm going to say an anchor within a list item. So LIA is our selector. And I'm going to go ahead and say an anchor for the link and an anchor for a visited link. Remember those pseudo selectors from earlier on in the course. And I'm going to set the text decoration to none on both of those. And of course, what I'm trying to do there is eliminate those underlines that I find to be unsightly. All right, and I'm going to set the text color to black. Now that I'm doing this, I think it would have been easier just to do one selector for both of these. But, matter of fact, let's edit that now to do that the correct way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to eliminate the rule, because we're basically making these the same for visited and unvisited links. There we go. So now we got both of those in there. I'm going to set the color to black. All right, so now we've got our links. Now, the links still work. If I were to click on this, it's still going to go to the site. We just have eliminated any visual indication of the link by adjusting the pseudo selectors for a:link and a:visited. So we've also set the text decoration to none, eliminating the underline, and the color to black. And there you see the link working. All right, we'll go ahead and take that out. Don't need that right there. All right, so now what we have to do is create the background. Now, if I were to want to make this list horizontal instead of vertical, what I could do is on the list items, set the display from block to inline. Once we do that, now they display inline. If I want it to be a vertical list, I can leave the display at block. So it's very easy to change this particular navbar. So what I'm going to do too is I'm going to set the actual padding on the top. Let's set like a 15 pixel padding on the top and a 15 pixel padding on the bottom. Now obviously if you're doing this left-right, you'll also have to adjust this. That may be too much, I'm not sure. Let's set the background color on the list items to, oh, let's go with something awful like a yellow. And let's set the width of these to, let's try 175 pixels, see how that looks. That's a little too much. Let's do, oops, I don't need to do a new width rule. Let's set it to 125 pixels. All right, that seems to fit them. So now it's starting to look like a nav bar, but not quite yet. Let's set our text. Let's go ahead and I'm in here in the A:link and A:visited for the LI, and I'm going to set the font to Georgia or Times if they don't have it. I'm going to set the font weight to bold. And I'm going to add just a few pixels to the width there. And I'm going to set the font size to something a little bit bigger. Maybe 1.2 ems. Yeah, like that. It's just still not wide enough. I'm going to go with a full 150 pixels. And you can see how I'm doing, so I can adjust this as I go. Now, I'm also seeing that these are just too close to the actual left-hand margin. So I'm going to create just a little padding on the left for these. Let's see where I want to put this. So I'm going to put this here, I think so. Padding left 2 pixels. All right, that looks good. Now, I want to create just a small rollover effect so the user knows these are links. You know, that black is bothering me. That's too dark. Let's go with a different color here. Maybe we can go with like a lighter black, like a gray. So let's go with a pound. Oh, let's do like a DD. That's way too light. Let's go darker. Let's go like a 666666. Oh yeah, that looks a little better. I'm not a designer, I'm just a developer, so forgive me if this doesn't look good. You can use your own creative skills to make it look good. You just want to get the code working. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pseudo element again. And what I want to do is when we're rolling over these or hovering over these, I want to change the background color. So we've got the background color already set in LI. But I'm going to set the list item :hover, again using the hover pseudo element. And I'm going to set now, when we do that, the actual background color to something else. Let's go to orange. So now that I've done that, when we are over any of these items, we get the background color changing so the user knows, okay, this is an actual link in a nav bar, and if I click on it, we go to the site. And you can see there's the site we've traveled to just by using the actual link. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to click the back button here. So that works. Perfect. We've got our nav bar. Now, remember, if we wanted this nav bar to go horizontally, it's just as easy, right? What I've got to do is I've got to change a couple of things here. So where I have the actual display instead of block, we're going to go to inline. Now, I'm going to have to make a couple of other adjustments here. So see, we've got the space between. We're probably going to want to change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the padding top and padding bottom, and I'm going to bring that way down to about 8 pixels. All right, that thinned them out a little bit. That looks a little bit better. So we have the space between these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to instead set the padding left and padding right to 15 pixels. All right, that spreads them out. They're looking better. So to eliminate the white space between these guys, I'm actually going to have to set a negative margin. Try negative 2 pixels there. And that does it. So now that I've set the negative margin, we've got a horizontal navigation bar. Looks just as good. So pretty easy to create horizontal and vertical navigation bars using a combination of HTML and the CSS that we've studied throughout the length of this course.